Hello, I want to share some thoughts from this book, Leadership and Your Wellbeing. The purpose of this book is to help us utilize leadership to promote human dignity and well-being. Having established that the greatest human needs and pursuits are human dignity and well-being, it means that human activities or efforts or endeavors are most useful to humanity when they are directed towards promoting human dignity and well-being. So when we talk about leadership, leadership is most useful to humanity if it is directed towards promoting human dignity and well-being. So we could say that leadership involves identifying a human need, identifying problems that challenge human well-being, problems that threaten human dignity and well-being, and finding solutions to lead people out of these problems or these threats to their well-being. It usually involves building organizations, businesses, or institutions around some solutions that are meant to address some human needs or human problems that threaten human well-being and dignity. So largely the purpose of leadership is to identify threats to human survival and to human happiness, and to find solutions, design solutions to solve these problems. And that is why it is not exactly the case that leadership is mainly an accomplishment characterized by some juicy, enviable, or coveted conditions of service that people should aspire for, mainly because of this attractive conditions of service, money, fame, power, human respect, influence, status, prestige, and so on. Leadership borders on identifying human needs and designing solutions to meet these needs. In that sense, your followers become those people that benefit from the solutions that you provide. Those who have problems, some threats to their well-being, and they benefit from the solutions you provide to lead them out of these problems. They are then your followers, whether you know them or not. So when they are patronizing your products, your services, some direction you provide, some help you provide in the area of addressing their need, automatically they have become the people you are leading. So then they are your followers, whether you know them or not. When you think about leadership in this manner, then it is obvious that anyone can be a leader. So leadership in this context is not necessarily by seeking an election or an appointment or a promotion or being the next in line to a chieftain's stool. We are talking about anybody who can identify a human need and design solutions to lead people out of that need. And when you live in a developing country, you cannot have too many excuses for not wanting to be a leader. Because in a developing country or in a third world country, the thinking is that the people have a lot of problems. They have problems with food, with shelter, with clothing, healthcare, transportation, communication, sanitation, and many other problems. So it means that if you are living in a developing country or a third world country, you cannot talk about not having problems to solve. You may make the argument that the problems that you have to solve and the solutions that you are providing may not be financially rewarding or may not come with some human and respect or recognition or people talking about congratulations or celebrating you for the things you do. But you cannot make the argument that there are no problems in a developing country or a third world country where you live to solve. There have been some great leaders whose motivation mainly was compassion for humanity. Nelson Mandela was rewarded with the presidency because he demonstrated how much he cared about the dignity and the well-being of the people that he led. Martin Luther King was not a leader by election or by appointment or by lobbying for a position or an office. He just found people's dignity and well-being being threatened because of racial discrimination. And that ignited a passion in him to lead them out of the threat to their well-being. That is why the late Dr. Mark Moore used to say that true leaders or the greatest leaders usually are not seeking to be leaders. They became leaders because human problems, human suffering, threats to human well-being chose them. People like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela did not become a leader because they sought to become leaders. It was the problem that the people were facing at the time that chose them to become leaders. It is the same compassion for humanity that made Jesus, when he saw a multitude who were scattered abroad, as sheep having no shepherd, had compassion for them because he thought they were helpless, hopeless, and directionless. When you talk about shepherd or sheep without shepherd, it is a call for leadership in the sense that in the absence of good and compassionate leadership, the human being is helpless. So it is not a case that the only motivation for leadership is money, power, fame, recognition, human respect, and so on. Compassion for humanity is also a good motive for seeking to become a leader and seeking to find human problems and solve them. And the reality is that such true leaders can usually not be rewarded enough in cash or kind. Because when you are seeking the well-being of the human being, there's nothing that is worth the well-being of the human being that we should say that you have been paid enough in cash or kind by ensuring human well-being. So when it comes to ensuring human well-being and dignity, your greatest reward is the fact that the human being that God created, who is deserving of well-being, is going through some suffering and problems. And then you have found some solutions, providing some products or services that are leading these people out of their suffering. And that makes you feel relevant and useful to humanity. So the purpose of this book is to transform you from a person that is just existing to survive to a person that is relevant to contributing to human dignity and well-being.